We are recording again.
Recording. We made it again.
Yeah.
Episode 2 is in the works.
And I'm going to push this back.
We're going to end up adjusting it again, but
yeah. I feel like
the camera's working, allegedly. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast. This is episode 2 of the Probably Not Pro Hockey podcast.
We're still working on a title. But that's okay.
Are we?
For the second episode?
Oh, title for the episode. Yeah, what did I put on there?
Boy, we've had the podcast already.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right. We need an episode title. I'm RVR. I'm here. Sam's here.
What's up?
And Kuzi is here as well, the third member.
Third member.
You can finally see her in person. I'm sure you heard plenty of her in episode 1, but
Yep.
here she is in person.
Yep.
She will be here the entire time. Otherwise, you're just going to listen to a dog bark and squeal the whole time. So.
Yeah, and she's still kind of squealing, but like...
She'll settle down.
It's like a mild squeal. If you put her in another room, it's like... I don't know, like a horror movie squeal.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we don't want that.
And I don't want that.
In the background, you just hear like... Whoosh against the door.
And she loves to like dig, you know, so it'll be
gosh.
like scratchy, scratchy, scratchy,
She
scratchy,
like,
shout.
Sticking her head through the door like The Shining.
Seriously. Koozie!
Oh my gosh. Alright, the podcast. The Beer Leaguer's Insight into learning pro hockey. From learning to skate with the local rec team to breaking down Capitals insider info. We still probably don't know what we're talking about.
We don't.
We don't know how to make a podcast.
We really don't.
We don't. We're going straight into the Capitals today because it's not looking good out there.
It's not a great start, and I think that might be an appropriate title. Is either rough start or troubled times.
Troubled times.
Because it has been rough in the nation's capital to start.
Yeah. So as of recording this, we are 1-3-1.
Last night, the Toronto Maple Leafs with a 4-1 win
Cleaned this up with the broom, even though we played a pretty good game. But
I thought arguably
probably one of the better games we've played.
They outplayed Toronto for a good chunk of that game.
Yeah, it's tough to look at a team that put up 37 shots. Ovi put up 7 shots in the first period alone.
14
in the whole game. Like, numbers-wise, to put together a good game, it sucks to only see, like, 1 goal at the end of that.
It does, and that's kind of like what Spencer Carberry and the team was saying. Like, it's stressful. I think he said, like, it's the same story night after night after night to start the season.
It's very much the same story night after night, and everyone's always, like, quick to be like, new coach, what's he gonna do, you know, old team, how are they gonna perform? It's very much giving me like, what was the year that Bruce Boudreau went like 0-10 at the beginning of the year?
I think that was 2000.
And then they just shipped him out, and I was just like, no.
Yeah, that was 2011, 2012. I was in high school. I remember I was like in English class, and I like snuck on my phone to like see.
We just brought in Carberry, who's a young new coach. I don't think that'll be the case. I think we'll find some wins in the next
You can't
games.
get rid of a brand new head coach. Like, that's not a thing that happens.
Gotta let him cook. And
this is a team in transition right now.
Yeah. And I think you had a quote from Ovi today, didn't you, that actually summed it up pretty well. Maybe it was another media outlet that I saw. I don't even remember what it was, but like Ovi wrapped it up pretty well, just saying like sometimes they just don't land, and like you gotta.
Well, he was kind of like saying like, you know, this is a period of time right now where like we can't be frustrated, we can't be panicking, like.
Yeah,
and that's the way some of these games go right now, and let's dive into what's going wrong. I think is a good way to start. Let's go all the way back. Okay. Let's go back to like the opener and the first period of that Calgary Flames game.
It was the Flames game was the opener?
The Penguins was
the opener. We lost to the Penguins. That's the L we're missing.
And then the Calgary game finally won, but let's go back to those first 20 minutes.
Of the Pens game?
Of the Flames game.
Of the Flames
plus the Pens game.
I was going to say, because you're talking about how we came out.
So season...
We came out, we're coming out quick and on fire in these first periods, but then...
We are, but not so much against Calgary. They're outshot 20-3 in the first period of the Calgary game.
That's really bad.
And the whole situation to begin this storyline of what's wrong has been this team cannot get pucks on net.
Pucks on net, yeah.
It's a problem we struggle with.
It's the whole like identity thing too. Like you can't point to any part of the game right now that's good right now. It's very difficult to find anything good. The power play is not sparking. The penalty kills gotten beat every single game.
Yeah.
We're not being productive 5-on-5.
No.
It's hard to find anything good. Unfortunately, like the biggest thing is Alex Ovechkin scored a goal finally. Like that's
finally
the highlight.
Scored
that's
a goal.
The highlight of the
and his goal was let's talk about it, because that also brings us to special teams, which since the shots have gotten better. I think Montreal and Toronto were two pivotal games in that, because it finally showed that this team can get pucks on goal.
We started putting more chances to the net, but you talk about like the hockey gods being upset or something.
They cannot buy a goal right now.
If we had the number of crossbar shots and goals, we'd probably be leading the league.
And there are shots that have gone wide. The goaltenders, Joseph Woll was great last night.
Joseph Woll was fantastic last night, yeah. So hats off to him. Good goalie's good goalie. So, and he showed up and performed that game.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different implications that go into the game of hockey that... What I love about playing hockey is you learn how much harder it is. You know what I mean? Than watching. Like, I used to be like one of like the armchair people watching on TV that's like, oh, just shoot the puck. It's not that easy.
You see a team put up like 37 shots. You're like, gosh dang, how do they do that? And then they have like a bad game where they only put up like 11. You're just like, see, not that easy.
Yeah, no, and it's not easy. And something that we struggle with with our team too.
Yeah, putting up shots and getting pucks to the net.
We finally had 20 shots on goal the other night.
Awesome.
Which is
hats off
awesome.
to you guys. I'm bummed I missed that game, but that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it wasn't my best game, but it was good.
20 shots on goal, 20 shots on goal.
We had our
chances.
Can't
complain about that.
We had our chances.
That's like our building point on our team right now too. Kuzi.
The dog wants to add.
She's having it, yes.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
How do you feel about the power play, Kuzi? Thank you.
Yeah, I
know. But yeah, no, I mean, I think looking at this team that there are areas right now that just aren't clicking overall. And I think the first one we can dive into is special teams.
Yeah.
At both ends is a problem. So let's...
You got to drive this one. You got to drive this conversation.
I drive?
Yeah.
I can't.
Drive?
I don't drive.
You don't have a license.
I don't have a license.
License to drive the conversation about the power play.
I don't have a license.
So from the uneducated outside perspective, it seems very much that there's a lot of talk of this power play trying to be more fluid and faster. And from what I've seen in the few games that I've caught, it's like they're trying to be reminiscent of the old power play, but everyone is just setting up in their positions, and that's about where everyone's at right now. In their starter formation with the bumper guy in front, Oshie. But I don't see a whole lot of crisscrossing patterns. I just see a lot of passing back and forth.
Yeah.
So it seems a lot more stagnant than Carberry's been advertising it being more fluid and more dynamic.
I think that's a key word is stagnant, right? I think we look at the power play stats altogether, 6.3% to start the season. They were 0 for 14 through those first 5 games until Ovechkin finally broke through, and his goal came
on the opposite side. Yeah.
With an interchange between him and Carlson and him getting closer to the crease.
It was a little chaotic, but he ended up in a place where he's not normally is, and there was nobody there.
And you saw Toronto's penalty killers were all four of them were on the other side because they were looking for that Ovi spot.
Yeah.
Which is huge. And that's when movement and just fluidity, but that's also growing pains that come with a new coach and new systems.
Sure.
Is like you're going to fall into old habits. You're going to fall into I'm going to set up here. And there were some good looks on some of these power plays. The team was 0 for 14, but they had their looks, but the big thing is execution. And when you don't execute, that's when it's a problem.
That begs the question and makes me think, I lost my train of thought there. So we have this old power play structure that's very geared towards Ovi in his office, and we play the same structure that works the puck around the outside, and you find your pass to Ovi, gets a slap shot right. At what point does Carberry say we're done with that? Clean the freaking whiteboard, start from scratch.
It's tough because
completely redesign that power play.
It's tough because I think that you don't necessarily have to if you just move around. Like we talk about it so much when we play too.
Yeah.
Is you are not like I'm playing left wing, right? Or usually when I'm on your line, I play right wing because you are a left wing, and you say, "Oh, I don't care which side is the left."
Sure.
Pick a lane.
And
anyway, I'm kidding. But you're not locked in that position.
Yeah, no, you have to be fluid.
You do not, if I start as left wing, I do not need to be on the left side all the time.
You need to know what your assignment is, but you got to be fluid.
Exactly. I know, okay, I'm covering the point guys in my own zone. If I see somebody lurking in the back door in front and nobody's covering him,
gotta get down there.
And my center's tied up, I'm going to get down low to help. Yeah. There's ways of, fluidity that you can move around. And I think that's why Spencer Carberry doesn't... And Kirk Muller, who's the new power play coach, we don't necessarily have to say, okay, we're going to just get rid of Ovi's office, all that, because
it's not working.
It's not working. Like, that's not a thing that'll happen. It's, hey, start in the office. You'll still get your shots there, because he will. And he'll still score on those shots, because
that's what he does.
He's Ovi.
That's what he does.
He's Alex Ovechkin. Like, he will get his goals, but when you move around...
I get wary of everyone saying that, too, though. Oh, he's Ovi. It's fine. It's fine.
It is.
This is more than I need to tell myself, don't panic.
It is.
Don't panic.
And here's why. Because I also got some tweets. Ovechkin's goal last night was his 300th career power play goal.
Which is sweet.
It was also his 925th era adjusted goal, which puts him atop the NHL all time.
Era adjusted goal.
Yes.
Okay.
So, like, take into consideration the modern game.
Mm-hmm.
And he's tied with Gordie Howe now
Yeah.
at 925. Technically, if we're talking, like, technically in this era, whatever, we're adjusting for all that. Ovi sits at the top now with Gordie.
If you look at it from that.
If you look at it from that angle.
Yeah, but I don't feel like everyone really looks at that.
Nobody does, but here's what I'm
saying.
Here's what I'm getting at. Is, in today's era, it is so hard to score, and this man, throughout the course of his career, does not stop.
Mm-hmm.
And every year there's someone who will criticize or doubt, or you know what I mean, and he continues to
He's not what he was. He's not what he's used to. He's aging.
And he continues to
still
do it.
continues to do it. Yeah.
And you see it last night. Like, he has 14 shots on goal.
After going 2 games in a row without a shot
for
on
the
goal
first time
in his career.
First time, and it has taken 19 years
to have 2 games in a row.
To have 2 games in a row where he doesn't have a shot.
And then the game after... he puts 7 in one period and becomes...
He did have the shots against Toronto. So he had 5 against Toronto. Or, no, against Montreal.
Uh-huh.
He had 5 against Montreal. And then 14 shots with Toronto.
Oh, there was game
in
between. There was game in between. But like I said, he had 7 in that first period of the Toronto game, which is the most shots by one player in a period this year.
Yeah, which is crazy.
So to go from, like, one opposite of the spectrum to just, like, all of a sudden, like... the other side is like, okay.
Like, he can pick it up.
He can pick it up. He went out at that Toronto game and turned on the Jets. I don't say turned on the Jets, but, like, he went out there and he got shots. He created opportunities. He scored a power play goal. He did everything you need your leader to do.
He was in OV form.
He was in OV form.
And that's why you look at his numbers and you look at his scoring and you're like, okay, this guy's going to be fine.
Don't panic. But, everyone remain calm.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good episode title, too.
Everyone remain calm.
I love how we're just, like, brainstorming these names throughout.
I think it's a good way to do it, though.
It is, and I think... But, yeah, looking at the power play, I think adding a little bit of movement... And that takes time.
Yeah.
Like, it's so... I don't know. Like, when I look on Twitter, when I look, at feedback from my articles, and I see so many people being like, burn it to the ground, I'm like... Okay, this, like, team has a new coach. They're coming off a year where they didn't make the playoffs. This was not a team that was expected to come in with a brand new head coach who's never coached in the NHL before and has an aging core.
Mm-hmm.
Was not expected to hoist the Stanley Cup and win the President's Trophy this year.
It's new dog, old tricks. Is that what it is?
Are there high standards in Washington?
Yeah, yes. Completely. No, this is an area and a fan base who expects a playoff team every single year.
And it is high standards, and those players want to live up to those high standards. But to expect that this team is going to be like a President's Trophy winning team and is never going to have any issues out of the gate with a new coach.
Not going to happen.
That is
just not going to happen.
That is not realistic. Yeah. That is baloney.
But... I want to see us make the playoffs. I want to see us make the playoffs. Well, I mean,
of course. Like, and hey, like, as a reporter who gets to go to the... Of course. Like,
you want to see everyone.
Of course, I want to be at my job as long as I can, right? And all that fun stuff. So, I mean, that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah. That kind of ties into the thought I had there, too, was just, like, power play struggles a little bit. We finally get the over goal. But, like, even our 5-on-5 play, all-around play... Team can't pay for a goal right now. We couldn't buy a goal right now. We've had so many 50-50 opportunities that haven't gone our way. So many rung crossbars. I think Kuzi should probably have like 3 goals by now.
He's had
how many crossbars
his whole
he's
line
hit.
Has had
that whole line has had so many good looks, and they're just not converting. So remain calm. And don't panic. The opportunities are still presenting themselves.
And there's the called off goal last night.
Oh my gosh, talk about like that would just deflates your whole game. I
think it was deflating.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like you come out, you finally score first for the first time this season to be on the board first, and then to have it reversed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a power play goal. So that ends so many things.
Yep.
Right? Like it ends like the 0 for 13 start. Backstrom finally gets on the board.
Hey, I'm still petting you.
The dog has a lot to say. Also, just a disclosure, she is not upset. She whines instead of barks, which is a blessing and a curse.
She goes nuts when I come over here.
Yeah,
this is like vacation.
She's
for her.
a total.
She's
a total like she loves the boys. Let's go into talking about the
PK.
penalty kill.
Yeah,
penalty kill's not looking great right now.
No, like I said, it looks like the rest of the team right now.
Yeah. It is at a 68.2% success rate, which ranks 31st league-wide.
Yeah.
Only Florida is worse.
Only Florida.
And it's not looking so hot right now, especially because in each of the 5 games that we've played to this point that we're recording now, they've surrendered a power play goal.
Yeah, and that's what you said. That's 5. What, 5 penalty kill? Oh, never mind. That's the wrong stat I'm looking at. But no, you're right. Yeah, they've given up a power play goal in every single game. And what, we gave up 5?
We gave up 5 penalties in the game in Montreal in the third period alone. This team is giving up 5 points.
That circles back to more just bad penalties.
Yeah, and this team right now is taking 5.8 penalties per game, or per 60 rather. That's the 8th most in the league. And some of these calls are avoidable. Some of them are debatable.
Yes.
Which I think is the case with every penalty. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Down the road. We have a lot of fun beer league chatter coming up.
Oh boy.
But yeah, it's not working right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to collect my thoughts on the whole thing. Like I said, I think you've got who were our big penalty killers back in the day, but who are the staples that we're missing? Why does it feel so different? I know we have a lot of new guys taking on new roles, but
yeah, we
have good, capable defensemen, so
we do, and I think that's a struggle too, right? Is this team's defense is not clicking right now.
Not
on any pairings whatsoever. The Carlson Sandine experiment.
We were hopeful on that one, but it's not quite doing what we wanted.
It didn't work. Now Faravari is back with Carlson.
That's fine.
We have Nick Jensen, who's a little rusty out of the gate.
I think he's very rusty.
Yeah, we got Alex Alexiev, Lucas Johansson. Now we have Hardy Hom and Octel back up in DC.
We're shuffling them around now.
And there's a lot of movement.
And then Joel goes on long term. So that went from okay, he'll be back to 10 games.
And this is also a guy who keeps guys out of your crease and makes it miserable in the opposition. And not having that
big body presence in front of the net. Yeah, that's
because
true.
You see the way this team has surrendered goals, and some of them have come from just giving too much time and space. Or letting people in front of the net, or easily being passed.
I like time and space more than that's a good way to put it. Just too much time and space. You got to close quick. Yeah. You got to have high pressure.
And just missed assignments, right? And poor mistakes. And it's tough, too, when your defense is moving around because it's not clicking in the first place.
You're trying to find the clicks.
And you're trying to find what clicks. So it's kind of like a puzzle. And you're finding pieces all over the place. And you're trying to get...
And you already know other pieces are going to come back and play later. So,
it's tough.
It's this is temporary, but we need to make it work.
Yeah, that's a tough spot right now. And I think when you look at the penalty kill, those are the similar issues that we're seeing with the D, but also Nick Dowd is missing.
So, penalty kill not looking great. How much does that fall back on giving up that many penalties? 5 penalties against Montreal in the third period alone. That's too much.
Well, Tom Wilson put it pretty well the other night. Not the other night, last night. At the time we're recording again. He was eventually, if you keep giving them chances, eventually they're going to score. It doesn't matter what you do. Mm-hmm. Eventually they're going to put one in.
Yeah, if you keep giving them the opportunity.
Doesn't matter if you
they're going to win. It doesn't matter how great you are.
Yeah, you can have the best penalty kill in the league. That's fine. But if you keep continuously taking penalties,
they're going to score goals.
One's going to go in eventually. Yeah. Your penalty killers are going to get worn out. And we do have new penalty killers. We have Beck Malenstein, Alexei Protas taking on those big roles. Mm-hmm. Nick Dow being out hurts. Kuzi on the PK doesn't look to be in great Kuzi form.
Yeah,
It's happened.
To me, that's an outside take. I would not think of him being a PK player or anything like that. There's your first four. Who else comes in, though?
We have Tom Wilson, who's penalty killer.
Does Oshie get on the kill at all anymore? Not really.
Perhaps.
I don't know.
Nicholas Backstrom we see on the PK.
Backstrom.
There's penalty killers that you have in place on your team. And there's guys like Malenstein and Protas who are playing their first full year up in the NHL and taking on, the role of like Nick Dowd.
Roles, yeah.
And, not having Garnet Hathaway around anymore, and you're putting him with, replacing him with Malenstein.
You're a new first year defenseman. Also, now you're on special teams.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's like, Malenstein is replacing Hathaway, right? Yeah. And you're like, hey, welcome. You're going to ride the fourth line wing where Hathaway was.
And then you're going to burn.
By the way, you're going to be on the top penalty kill.
Yeah.
And you're going to fill that role.
Special teams role.
And he's filled it. He's played penalty kill for years in Hershey. He's good at it. It's his specialty. But to expect, like, somebody to run with the systems, take off and run with it right away is a lot.
What you want to see.
What you
want to see, but that's a big ask.
Which again, it's a tall task, especially when you're without Nick Dowd. You're without a strong veteran
penalty killers.
A strong veteran, you know what I mean? And then you have your defense not clicking.
Yeah. So not only your defensive pairs not clicking, but then when you get the penalty kill to go, the same players also aren't clicking on the PK.
It's just, so there's just a lot right now that's not looking so hot.
Like, again, the big overarching topic is just, like, there's not really anything good to point at right now, but everything is still cooking, developing. Yeah.
So let me ask, because, like, you're, as somebody who, because I'm a reporter, right?
Yep.
But you watching it, you taking on more of, like, I don't want to say, like, a fan perspective. But
definitely more of a fan
perspective. But, like, when you're watching, like, when are you, like, panic?
When am I panicked?
Yeah.
I don't think I get panicked anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think I get panicked anymore. Having watched this team for a while now, you just kind of, like, the expectations up here, but, like, when it starts going down, like, down south, and, like, okay, we're 1 goal down, we're 2 goals down, all right, it's 2-1, now it's 3-1, you kind of just know when to check out, I guess. You don't really panic, you just kind of see that it's going downhill, and you just kind of let it be. You know what I mean? I don't really panic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think...
When I answer that question, too, I talk on, like, a game-to-game basis, too.
Yeah.
Like, just watching a game. Do you mean more, like, panic as in, like, oh, no, here we go for another bad season again?
Yeah, like, when are you, like, thinking that?
Not till 10 games in. I won't... I mean, it's easy to pick it apart now, only 5 games in, and having a 1-3-1 record. Yeah. It's easy to be like, oh, gosh, here we go again. But, like, got to give it a little bit more time. Once we hit 10 games, that's really going to actually indicate what's going to happen, and we'll see what it looks like. I heard some not good takes on the radio this morning. We didn't talk about this all, but I heard a bad take on the radio this morning, which was like, this might be the year where the Caps just go like 24 wins, try and pull that first-round draft pick, and it's just like, I don't like that attitude. I don't like that mindset.
I think when you're a reporter, it's very tough because you stay as objective as you can, and you recognize the reality of the situation. Also, as somebody, like, this is my 6th season with this team. Like, I covered my first season with them was the Cup year.
Yeah.
So I've never really... Last year was my first season, like, without playoffs. It was a long summer.
It's got to look a lot... it's got to look a lot different.
And it looks different, but you... As like somebody who's just like a go with the flow, this is my job, there's not a bad day in the NHL, like, it's still the reality of, like, you come to terms more with what the realistic thing is for this team. And so there's not really, like, a pessimism, if that makes sense.
You just better understand what the reality level is.
You understand,
the level expectations
and you
are
go,
within the
you
organization.
go with the ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
And you have your judgments and thoughts that you reserve for, I don't know, when I'm dreaming. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Cause,
not
like,
recorded conversations.
Like, but, I mean, it's not even that. It's like, I'm a very go with the flow kind of read the game from a realistic standpoint. Where is this organization at right now? I mean, we talked about it earlier in this episode, right? It's like, this team, like, you can't expect a first-year head coach to, like, lead this team to a President's Trophy. Do you want to win? Yeah, of course you want to win. Like, of course you want to make playoffs. Like, of course you want to, like, raise the Stanley Cup. That's why you play. But you gotta let it break itself out a little bit. But there are growing pains. Like, this is a team in transition. This was expected.
Yeah.
We knew this was coming. It is not a surprise.
Remain calm.
So, please remain calm.
Remain calm for now.
Yeah, like...
For now.
Like, if I'm, like, thinking on, like, panic button. Like, no.
That's not going to happen. Yeah, I don't predict, like, a big trade deadline sell-off like we saw last year. At least I hope not. There'll definitely be some deadline moves, I'm sure.
I think there will be some moves.
I don't think it'll be, like, giving away Dmitry Orlov and seeing some big names go.
Yeah, and there's some moves that are...
nothing even in there.
There's some moves right now that are... If you guys are still with us,
she's sniffing my backpack.
The dog is sniffing the backpack right now. But looking at this team overall, there are some moves being reportedly considered. The team is still reportedly, per Elliot Friedman, looking for a trade partner for Anthony Mantha.
Sure, and that's not stuff like that. Those conversations aren't going to go away.
Yeah. Connor Garland's name has been thrown around with who to trade for. I think if you're bringing somebody in, I would make a call up first instead of make a move. But
you want some cap room too, right? I don't know how much cap Mantha carries, I guess, but yeah,
it's a $5.75 million cap hit. So clearing
nice little,
clearing some space would be good for this team. But bringing in somebody else for a lot of money,
and I don't know what the option is. Do you try and pull in another veteran, or do you try and find? You have to almost like try and inject more youth and speed and.
Yeah.
Agility.
Yeah. And hey, that's why I'm not a general manager.
Thank goodness.
I know.
I couldn't do the job.
I know. If you look at my fantasy team right now, like my fantasy hockey team, it is all like waiver pickups and drops. Trade.
That's a tough thing. With like fantasy football, it's so structured and like everyone this. But I feel like with hockey, it's like who's hot. And get whoever's hot.
Well, that's what I do. I ride the hot hand. Does it work out for me? No. My team is not doing well, but it's fine. And what, like $30 buy-in for one, $25 for another. So.
That's pretty good.
Not bad.
Pretty good.
But yeah, I mean, so Caps right now, troubled times, but please remain calm.
Yeah.
I think is the message.
We'll circle back around. It'll probably be like 10 games into the season next time we record again. So we'll have a better footing, see where we're at. Hopefully, it's a little bit more positive message. But
yeah,
as long as I'll feel better if we start showing some more productivity.
Yeah,
if we keep losing games, that sucks and isn't great, but like we gotta start scoring some goals.
There's some progress to be made with more shots. Now it just needs to drop for them.
They need to start.
And whenever the hockey gods decide that we'll
I hope they turn it on.
we'll find out. So let's get into some beer league talk.
Some beer league talk, yeah.
We were talking a long time about like what we should talk about.
Yeah, it's tough to come in here with a different topic every single time, but I like what we're gonna go with. We're gonna talk about penalties, just in big, broad scope of just penalties in beer league.
It seems on par with
does.
everything we talked about, because it was a lot of special teams talk.
A lot of special teams talk, yep.
So let's talk about penalties, and I guess let's start with the basic concept of discipline.
The basic concept of discipline.
You are very disciplined.
I feel like I have not given a penalty up yet in beer league.
Yeah, you haven't been to the box.
Haven't been to the box, and it is just a discipline.
You've drawn some penalties.
I have drawn one or two penalties.
Yeah, you've drawn a high stick.
A high stick and a trip. And they were both in like the spring season, yeah. Which is good, that's productive. But I haven't turned anything over, and I think it's just because the most common penalties I feel like we'll see given up in this beer league is people chasing people breaking away. Yeah. You're going to see those hooks, and you're going to see those trips because you get beat and you're reaching and you're trying to stop them. Yeah. So I feel like I'm quick enough to just stay in front. I can get back around and put more body on it rather than reaching with the stick. So I've been able to stay out of trouble. But sometimes in beer league, you got to do what you got to do too, because reality is everyone's going to get beat one time or another. Yeah. So you kind of have to make that decision. Do you let them? Do you get beat, or do you try and get in the way some way you can with your stick? Or So.
I am not like you.
No.
I've been to the box many a time.
Not as much as you
Not
think, but you've had some more severe penalties. We'll get to that.
Yeah. So I've kept it clean for the last summer season. I kept it clean.
That's off to you.
So far this season, through 3 games, I've yet to go to the box.
Mm-hmm.
I have argued calls, yes.
You always argue the calls.
But I always argue the calls, and as a captain, I'm going to.
Yeah, you're going to as a captain.
I'm going to.
Sure.
And some of you guys are like, I hate when, like, we're in a game and, like, we'll take a penalty. I'm like, man, like, come on, like, are you serious? And you guys are like, no, that was blatant. I'm like, guys! I'm like, guys, like, traitor family. Like, no, like, we gotta pretend we're innocent. Like,
That's
come
true.
on.
You make a good point there, because I'm definitely on the other side.
You
and
do
I
it
can,
all the
I can
time.
think of some instances, too. You're just like, what the heck was that? It's like, you call it charging, you're like, what the heck is that? I'm like, I don't know, man.
That one was. We did have a charging call of that. I wasn't looking at the exact moment it happened.
I was on the ice and I saw it the whole way in. I was just like,
and he was like, no, I saw it. But there was one call where I think they scored on the delayed penalty on me, where like I guess I had hooked somebody on the breakaway the other way, and the ref was like, that's a penalty on you. And I was like, I did nothing wrong. And you guys on the bench go, yeah, it was a hook. And I'm like, what is wrong with you people? Like, what is wrong with you people? What is going on?
That's
like,
funny. That's a good take. I didn't think about
Traitor
this take
family.
on it at all. I know. But from the bench, it's very easy to just be like, oh, yeah.
But
when you're not in the moment,
yeah.
I guess it definitely looks and feels a lot different.
And I'm going to argue every single penalty.
Of course.
Like, especially, like, you know, if there's, like, any skate-on-skate contact, which I'll run into, because, like, you know, I'm not the fastest skater, but I'm not afraid to run into somebody.
Yeah.
There's going to be, like, moments where, like, I'll, you know, trip over somebody's skate or something.
Yeah,
but,
and that's why I want to bring it up, too. We always kind of get a little bit of grief about a lot of no calls.
Yeah.
And that's the tough thing with, like, beer league hockey is, like, obviously you want to call the trips.
So you're, like, patting the dog.
I know,
like,
she's doing good. You want to call the trips and you want to call the interference calls, but, like, just because people fall down on the ice does not make it a penalty. And I feel like a lot of people tend to equate, like, getting knocked down as a penalty, but, like, because it's D4 hockey and there's a lot of mixed skill level out there, a lot of it is just, like, people running into each other.
Yeah.
And one person falls and the other doesn't, or they both fall, or vice versa, or whatever. And I think the refs at this level of play let a lot of that go.
I will say, there is one person on another team who will not be named because I don't know who's listening to this podcast, but loves to dive.
Loves to dive?
And tries to sell penalties.
Really?
Yes.
I haven't noticed that.
I've seen it in every single game we've played against this team. And I'm like, even I'm not that bad, even though I'm kind of an asshole. Which, let's get to that. Let's get to this. I've been excited to tell this story.
Yeah, no, I'm curious because I haven't. Oh, is this that story?
That's this story.
Oh, you're ready for that story. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Same team. So this was in spring. This was our first season.
Okay. I'm confused. Are you telling that story? Or are you telling?
Yeah. I'm telling the story.
This is that story. Okay.
This is the story.
Okay.
I love how like all the people listening to this are like, what the
about?
hell is she
No,
talking
once
about?
you get into this, you're like, oh, that game.
No, so we were in our final game of the season.
Final game of
regular
spring
season finale.
Yep, regular season finale.
Playing our rivals.
Yep.
And we were losing, I think like we were losing 5-2 at that point.
I didn't think it was that bad, but
it
you might
was.
be right. Okay.
It was. It wasn't even a bad game. It was just like there were shite bounces. And
I remember exactly how this went now. This is all coming back.
I'm gonna
I'll let you go.
It was
I'll let
me.
You tell your...
It was me and RVR on the same line with Ortsky down the middle.
Yep.
Bless Ortsky's heart.
Mm-hmm.
He was like a missile. He's been like a missile by the way.
He's really picked the pace. I love it.
He's killing it this season. He got the hat last game.
Nice.
Because he killed it.
Hell.
He always does. So Ortsky, if you're listening, shout out to you. We love you. I mean, I love all my teammates. Anyway. So
well, mostly you, Ortsky.
I forget if you had the initial shot on goal. Somebody had the shot on goal.
I don't remember how the whole play transpired, but it ended up with the puck being in front of the net and a whistle getting called eventually.
And because the goalie went to cover.
Yeah.
I went to go to the net.
Was this on Mocker's side of the ice, or was this?
It was on the offensive side.
We were in offense?
Yeah. It was off the draw.
Okay.
Somebody gets a shot on goal. I'm going for the rebound. So I crash the net. And this chick grabs my arm on my way to the net as the whistle blows.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, pulls it, like, behind my back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, I don't like to be touched.
Yeah.
And I turned around, like, pushed her off.
You instinctually, like, you're getting pulled, you instinctually spin around in the same direction and then push.
And then push, because I'm like, get off. My arm is pinned.
Yeah.
She goes for the sucker punch in the throat.
She smacked you. There was a bit of a schmack. There was an exchange.
And I hit the ground.
Yeah, you fell hard.
And the reason I fall hard is not to sell it. It is because it was a hard hit.
She knocked you down.
And you're on ice.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You're on ice. You're in skates. You lose and you're not expecting to fall backward.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I tell myself when I play is do not fall backward. Do not fall backward.
That's a great one to take away. Just like as a new player, like safety learning to skate, you never want to be backwards balanced.
You're supposed to stay low and like
stay low,
butt out.
Always fall forward.
Yeah. Butt out, knees bent, chest up. That's the hockey stance.
Yep.
Shoulders length apart, your legs, but you're supposed to fall forward.
Yep.
Like, you are not supposed to be leaning back.
And this person had, like, a good head on you. And when you turned around and pushed, she was, like, pushing you down. And you
must have turned, like, bright red.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, like, I've never heard such string of profanities thrown my way.
I don't think they were all in English.
Maybe not.
I don't know. But, yeah, for whatever reason, and I think this was some build-up over the course of the whole game too. I don't think it was that one instance that caused her reaction, but for whatever reason, that moment she verbally got into you.
And I was mad.
Yeah, you were
like
mad.
I was frustrated because the score, like, I don't care about winning in our. I care about winning. I want to win.
Everyone wants to win. Yeah,
I want to win, but I care more about you guys than I do our record. We know it's going to take. It's a process for our team. We're a new team. We're still beginning.
Yep.
Of course we want to win. But it's the same thing we talked about with expectations, right? If you're expecting a brand new team that has all beginner players to beat teams that have been playing together for 4 years every single night, no. Can it happen? Yeah. Is it realistic that we're going to win every single... What are you doing?
Get on with your story.
You're like kneading,
kneading her like dough, I know.
You're like kneading it like bread. It's like a loaf.
Keep going with your story. Going with your story.
Anyway, so not to whatever. You helped me up. You got me up.
I pulled you up. I think I pulled you up, but this entire time, it's just yelling and screaming from this individual, and then
I go back.
You immediately were just like. It was like a classic like NHL scrum. You were immediately just like, where's that person?
Yeah,
where are they?
Where are they? I'm going back
You're
to
yelling,
the front.
You're yelling.
And I remember
cursing like a sailor.
You just
She's
grabbed
yelling,
me.
Cursing like a sailor.
And
at one point, you wouldn't stop going towards her. I'm like trying to get you to go the other direction. You're like,
because I remember you guys. I vividly remember you all calling me back to the bench.
Everyone was. Everyone was.
I remember Bruno came off and Gertzy came off.
Their players were trying to keep that individual away. We were trying to keep you
away. And because, like, they would not stop. And I was, like, at a point
it was that individual.
Yeah, and I have, like, a short fuse on the ice.
Yes.
So I was already... And I think it's gotten better.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, in that moment, it was 2 short fuses.
Yeah.
And you both...
But I just remember, like, you bear hugging, like,
it was at one point I definitely had, like, my whole
I think we had the
arm
picture,
around,
too.
The picture's great.
Which is great. And I remember I was like, okay, I'll go back to the bench, and the ref was like, no. And I was like, hold up. You say no.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, and then you just...
And he had given us matching roughing penalties... Because I guess my instinct to get her off was considered rough. Which, okay. And then we get to the boxes. They're still going.
This individual's still going. But you were also still... You were cooling down.
Started to cool
you were cooling down, but you were still doing
And then they were like, you punched me in the face. And that made me mad because I didn't do that.
No.
And so I got up and started again. I remember the look that Suits gave me, because he came over to the box and he gave me this like fatherly look and talk, and like Suits is like the youngest guy on our team too, so it's like hysterical that like he comes over, but like he only has like a year on me, but he was like, "You were not in the wrong. Take the high road." Like he was giving me like the father. We're all saying
like, calm down, relax. Like let this person keep burning. Put yourself out, and it was just like you. Put yourself out first. Yeah. So then it's on her.
And so we were originally giving match and roughing calls, turned into game misconducts. Yeah. I end up leading the league in penalty minutes.
Yeah. You overtook Mark in the last game.
I overtook Mark, who like shout out to Mark, but he was like taking penalty after penalty after penalty. Yeah. He's cleaned it up.
He had that one game where he had like 3.
He had 3 in one game.
That was it.
And I was like, what is going on? What are we doing? Like, but he's cleaned it up too. And I think the moral of that story, too, is, like, I mean, not letting emotions get the best of you. Because it's kind of like something that happened last night in the Caps where Tom Wilson got an unsportsmanlike.
He did. And nothing that seemed... There was no physical thing, but apparently, something
It was labeled as an abuse of officials. And he took accountability after the game. Yeah. And that's what a leader does. Yeah. And so I sat down after that, and even though, I didn't think it was my fault... And I had to go get my esophagus x-rayed, which was the weirdest.
Yeah, some bruising and stuff.
Yeah, so I ended up bruising it was either my esophagus or trachea. Something got bruised in there. Anyway, they put, at the doctor's office, I like did x-rays of the neck or whatever. And they sat me down, because it just felt like somebody was like sitting on my neck.
Yeah, like a bruise.
Yeah, and and I remember they like put me in a room and they were like, here is a water bottle and graham crackers. We're going to monitor to make sure you can digest these foods. And I was like, what? I was like...
Some graham crackers and some water.
I mean, and I was like, okay. But I couldn't eat I could only eat soft foods for like 2 weeks, which sucked. But it's a learning experience. And every game is a learning experience with that. And since then, you kind of get a grip on like...
Sure.
Beer league, and you still have fun. You still be chippy. I still like to chirp sometimes.
Yeah, like, all and the chirping's fun. The chirping can be.
It's all in good fun, like you know what I mean. But then again, like it's about being disciplined and not taking stupid penalties. Penalties are gonna happen. Like,
penalties will always happen. Yeah.
Like you're gonna get called for a hook. Like your stick's gonna get tied up. You're gonna trip somebody by accident. Yeah. Even if you don't trip somebody and somebody loses an edge and the ref sees your stick there.
Might get called.
You might get
called. And we can't be so harsh on these beer league refs, too, because they're players just like the rest of us. They're there to make some extra money, have some good times. And, they're going to let calls slide. They're going to get the obvious
Kevin, shout out to Kevin. He's a ref. He subbed for us.
Yeah, truthfully, they want to go home just as much as the rest of us do.
Why do you think all the icings in last game were magically washed out?
Yeah, because, clock's ticking and you're down 3 goals. It makes sense. It's fine. We're not expecting professional level ref quality at anyone.
But that's fine. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not going to win the Lady Bing, obviously. You might. No penalty minutes and great play.
I have, no stats right now. No penalty minutes, no goals, not a lot of shots. I'm feeling in a funk. I'm in a funk right now.
You got to get out of it.
I got to get out of it.
Yeah.
I haven't had a goal since, early
I'm feeling
summer.
I'm feeling one next game.
I hope so.
We play Saturday against Jackaloops, which will be fun.
Yeah. I feel like I haven't played or been on the ice against them in a while. So.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a slump.
Yeah.
I feel like the line people I've been playing with, though, and the team in general has been doing a lot better, putting together passing.
Yeah, and we have some guys on hot streaks right now.
Yeah, so...
Like Misha's on a hot streak.
Misha and Gertz probably scoring the most goals right now.
Yeah. We have, shout out to them. Ortsky getting assists.
Ortsky getting apples, moving quick.
I want him to get a goal so bad.
Yeah. Didn't Austin have a goal in the last
He did. He had his first goal. Yep. Bondi broke through.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's all about having fun. 100%. But yeah, I guess the big thing to take away from that is don't get punched in the neck.
Don't get punched in the neck. Don't have a crap attack after you get punched in the neck.
Yeah, we call them my crap attacks.
That was the crap attack.
That was a crap attack.
That was a crap attack of all crap attacks.
But yeah, don't fall backwards. Be disciplined. Stay in your right mind. Don't let emotions get the best of you. And it's hard.
You can't get hung up on the no calls, because if we're just sitting there on the bench complaining about...
But also,
why didn't that call get called?
But
why
also,
didn't this call get called?
Don't agree with the calls
okay,
against our team. Mr. Oh yeah, it was a hook. We're so sorry.
We can't get hung up on the things we can't control
Yeah.
when we can focus more on the things we can't control.
No, because like if I'm sitting there, I'm like, why are you calling us for that? And you're like, oh no, it was a hook. Like, what are you doing?
Where does British accent come from?
I don't know.
Oh yes, it was a hook.
It was a hook. Like,
A
no.
proper slash.
Yeah, like, what are you doing? Like, guy.
No, I get what you're saying, and I did think about it from that take it all. But I hear what you're saying.
But no, yeah. I think that's pretty much like.
I got another hot topic we could probably just run with.
Yeah.
And that's it goes back to the penalties. When we go to, it's tough enough as a beer league team to keep your structured lines flowing on regular strength.
Yes.
And then when we go to a penalty kill, I feel like we all just kind of like lose our minds a little bit. At least on the forward side. Because
we definitely do.
Because
like, oh my God, who's going out?
The defensemen just stay in their two-man swing, which is what they should do. But then, like, as far as our forward lines go, we're like, who's supposed to go out?
We're like, oh my God,
what do we do?
Goes?
What do we do? Who goes next? And then when
Our
the
penalty
person
kill?
comes out of the box, it's just like, now what do we do?
Our penalty kill is very good, though. Like, we've had a good penalty kill.
That's good.
But it is kind of funny, because I'm like, oh my God, who's going
We
out?
definitely just kind of, like, totally lose train of thought of, like, who's supposed to be out there. And naturally, it should just be, like, whoever's next. But then, like, one person ends up sitting.
But it's like,
and then when that person comes out of the box, now we have mixed up lines, and you're trying to get everyone out
Especially,
of the ice.
like, if it's a defenseman, too, who gets into the box, and then you have, like, 3 defensemen.
On the ice, and then you can't get a whistle, and the changes... You try and get a defenseman off and a forward on, but that communication doesn't reach both sides of the bench, and now you have 6 people on.
We took a too many men penalty a couple games ago against Generals, and that was the same one where the scoreboard broke.
Oh yeah, that game was just not meant to be.
The scoreboard broke, and we had like a 20-minute break.
Oh well. Start at the beginning of the night. We arrived for our 10 o'clock game to be told, hey, you're delayed 30 minutes.
The glass is broken.
Because the glass was broken earlier in the day, so everything was delayed. So we got a nice, like, long 40 minutes of chilling in the locker room before that game.
Yeah, hanging out.
We go out there, and it started with, like, I think a penalty was given up, and the scorekeeper had to put up a penalty or whatever, and the clock just, like, kept running. The clock kept running for like an extra minute and a half. We're all like, what the heck's going on?
And then the whole thing just broke.
And I think the ref went over to fix it, and then like
whole thing just
thing went off, thing went on, couldn't get it working.
We had like a whole on stick and puck during that
game. No, like everyone was just skating around in their zone.
We were skating around.
That was a good like 10-15 minutes of like not doing anything.
It was a fun time. And that's another one too where like the result was on our side, but it was a good game. And we were also just having a blast.
Exactly.
Like, and not letting emotions
And I wish we got over that whole scoreboard thing quicker, because we were very much just like, you know what? The refs can count to 15 minutes. Like, just, let's go. We can count the goals.
Yeah.
Like, we'll see what happens. Like, let's just go. Let's just play hockey.
No.
So, it panned out well being 20 minutes running clock.
It was
everyone was totally fine with
the
that
third.
too. They were just like 20 minutes running clock for the third. We were just like, yeah, let's go.
I wasn't thrilled about it, but it worked.
No, it was fine. Like, what else you gonna do?
I don't know. Have a stopwatch and, like, you know, it's difficult. No, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's not realistic. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
It is.
Like,
it could be realistic,
but it's a lot of work.
No, you can't. Who has a stopwatch and then ref gonna do? Run around with his iPhone on?
No, that's what I'm saying. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, no, we're not doing that. So, but yeah.
Oh well. I was going somewhere else with that.
I was like,
I got derailed by the whole. I feel like where was I going? Our penalties, our penalty kill, and like when we're man and down, just kind of like losing control. Yeah. So maybe we should establish some penalty killers.
Yeah, and see who's good and see all that fun stuff.
Oh, but 6-man line changes too. Our line changes are getting better too, but like,
they are.
They just need to be more fluid.
Yeah.
Just more fluid. Like if you make eye contact with the bench and your partner starts skating off, it's like, okay, 2 people coming off, 2 people jump up, but then one person skates away.
I struggled with that last game because I was playing center, and usually I'm a winger, so I'll let my center. What are you doing? I'll let my center like drive the changes. And I forgot that, hey, like, you're leading this show on this line as a center. I also am not a good center, but that's okay. and I stayed out a little too long on a couple shifts where, like, you want to get it out of the zone cleanly, but also if you're tired, get off. Like,
yeah. It's the back and forth, because like the MO too is like you need to change on the offensive opportunities, and not the defensive opportunities. But a lot of times, like, if you get caught out of the play, like, you're better off getting off and letting fresh legs get on to support the D zone.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, if you back check really well and you put a lot of effort into getting back and back checking, the next time you get it out of the zone, you can't just chase it all the way down to the offensive zone to just run the whole, because then, you know, it's the classic, just like getting stuck in your D zone. And then when you finally get the opportunity to get back, you chase it all the way down to the offensive zone, only to chase it all the way back in your defensive zone, get stuck again. Yeah. So when you get an opportunity to change, you got to take the opportunity to change.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you don't, like, if it's not a good opportunity to change, you either need to hard stay in or hard stay out. You can't be 50-50 on it.
Oh,
like, if you're ready to get off the ice, go with purpose.
Yeah.
Go with purpose.
Yeah.
So that way there's not confusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you get caught in a shite change and they score.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was a hell of an episode, man.
That was a good episode. What are we at? We're a little short. We're at 53 minutes, but that's good.
You want to just sing for 7 more minutes?
No, not particularly.
But yeah, no. So Caps facing the Devils now.
Oh, what time is it?
Yeah.
Yep, it's 7 o'clock. It's time to put a hockey game on. Do a little cool transition thing here because that's so dang cool. I have to change the video on this one too.
But thank you guys for watching.
Yeah. Episode 2 of the Probably Not Pro Hockey Podcast. Shout out to the Hockey News for giving us a platform to put this on. Hopefully the video comes out well, so we'll be able to get the video format out there. Otherwise, are we just doing video on Hockey News and then Spotify and Apple is going to be audio?
There's a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff. Spotify will have the audio. Apple Podcasts will have